Hi, Achim here from InnerSpace Explorers. Today I want to tell you 3 stories of failure, and the reason of this a little bit uncommon or a little bit different video is that, especially after I released the book, a lot of people asked me, do you ever fail, or did you ever fail? Do you have dives where you mess up? And I find that question really funny because, of course, human being, you make mistakes, you fail. The important thing is just to not stop, to just recover, look at it, learn from it, and then continue. So it would be completely weird if I could say that I never made a mistake, or that I never make mistakes, or that I never failed. Of course I did a lot of times. And I have to say that a lot of these dives where I actually made a mistake or I failed were the quality ones, because I could sit down, think about it, and really learn something and grow in my personal diving, and I could grow my skills, and I could realize, okay, this can be done better. And so it's a learning curve. And so yeah, today I want to go a little bit into Mr. Ballen mode, and I want to tell you 3 progressively more disturbing stories about Achim's failures. So if you haven't seen Mr. Ballen, he's my favorite YouTuber, probably one of the fastest growing YouTube channels at the moment. Love this guy and his content. So I'll put a link in the description. Check him out, you'll love it too. Alright, so number 1 is, I'm not even sure if that's a real failure, but it's something that I really wanted to do and I couldn't accomplish it. So kind of failure might be that it was an unreasonable expectation that I set for myself, but it is a wreck, and actually I cover this in my book. That sits in the Baltic Sea, and it originally was a French ship, and the Germans took it in the beginning of the war and converted it actually into a mine layer. And I have the building plans of this conversion, so I have a very detailed plan of the ship. And when I studied these ship plans, I figured out that they have kind of a diving locker. So there's a room deep inside the ship that actually is outfitted for 3 hardhead divers. So complete dragger gear from that time, early 40s, the pump, etc., etc., complete diving room. And I was like, man, this must be the find of a diver's lifetime. I need to go there and find this room. So the problem is, I live in Munich in the south of Germany, so driving to the nearest port where you can actually rent a boat or go on a diving vessel to dive this particular wreck is around about 1,000 kilometers. So it's a bit of a drive, and that's a long time ago. So I think I did this trip at least 30, maybe 40 times. Like Friday after work, jump in the car, do all the drive, go on a boat, figure out weather's too bad, conditions are not good, can't do it, drive back home. Next week, again, same trip, go there, do the dive, it doesn't work like I want to, go back. So it was a disaster, it was a complete nightmare, time-wise, financially. And the thing is that this wreck, or this ship, burned really bad when it went down. So the entire inside of the wreck's covered with soot, really thick, nasty, black stuff. So when you go in, you touch something, you exhale, the water turns into brownish, black, nasty liquid, and you don't see anything anymore. So the wreck sits in 42, 43 meters, and it's a little bit at an angle, it's broken apart. So it took me a while to find a spot relatively near to that room where I can actually access, which was really basically on the seafloor. You have to wedge underneath a steel plate, and then you can enter this hallway. And basically that hallway should have led to a flight of stairs that was going down, which in the case of that wreck would have been like in an angle going basically down. So after a couple of dives, I figured out this hallway is blocked. There's stuff from this broken down ceiling, metal plates, cables. There was no way to go there. So On the left side, part of the ceiling was gone, was structural damage, and I figured I can probably like make my way around there and then continue in what was, it looked like a, how do you say that, like an auxiliary space where the engineers could climb down deeper into the ship, something like that. So I started to go down there and switched to rebreather because the exhaust bubbles were a real issue there, and started to lay permanent line in there. And to cut the long story short, after all these dives, after all the preparation, all the effort, I ended in about 46 meters of water, which means I was in the wreck below the sea floor, but in the end I just couldn't figure out where I am actually, because everything's twisted, bent, broken down, so the plans did not really make any sense. I could not put my actual way that I made in the ship back on these plans. It just didn't match, and at some point I abandoned the project and was like, okay, this is not gonna work. And it haunts me till today, as sometimes I'm like, so yeah, you can consider that a fail. Probably just wrong planning, wrong expectations, just a stupid project for somebody living here. I thought a lot of times if I could have spent like a year at that coastline, so I could take opportunity like, oh, today it's great weather, go out, and I couldn't have spent more time and probably check out different routes in the wreck. It probably would have been possible. And this is a good chance that the wreck's just broken down so far that the room basically doesn't exist anymore. But nevertheless, it was definitely one of my not so successful attempts in wreck diving. Anyway, so number 2 is me getting stuck in a cave, actually in a mine. So, and that's a real stupid one. Yeah. So me and my dive buddy Michael and 2 other guys, we wanted to go to that mine that was at that point relatively new, meaning open to the public. So not a lot of people diving in there. Very silty, clear, really clear water, but I mean, yeah, the surface was all just decades of mud and sediment settled down. So to give you a bit of an idea of how that is outlined, you go in and then you basically follow a slope that at some point meets the surface of the water, and then you submerge and you just continue straight down. And at some point you hit a crossroads basically. And the left side's not interesting. The right side is basically where the line goes. So there's a continuous line from the surface going down that slope, and then there's actually water pipes on the floor that were used to pump water out of the mine when it was still in working order. And on that pipe there's a line, and that goes to the right, and that's the main line. And it was installed by the owner of that place. And if you continue over this crossroads, you end in a dead section, basically, a dead end. And in that dead end is part of an old train that was used to transport the material out of the mine. So all these small wagons that you have behind the locomotive. And it was one of these wagons standing there. And what we figured out later is, in that dead end, when you look into it, on the right side is a small tunnel that connects with the rest of the mine, and there was actually a series of these wagons wedged in that tunnel. But we didn't notice that, because when you swim into it, actually you don't see it because it's a little bit in an angle. So when you look in, you just see that dead end. So the plan was, we will go down there. I had a big camera with me, my big Gates housing. You've probably seen that in other videos. And we went in there, partner was on the right side, we were both diving KISS rebreathers, and we actually said we go in that dead end, and the tunnel size is like a subway tunnel, like 4 meters wide, 4 meters high, so plenty of space, all good. So we said we go in that dead end, turn around and film these other 2 divers, like come from the left side and basically swim through that cross section. So they swim into in the frame and then disappear again. That was the intro shot for the video that we wanted to do. So what we did not know at that point was that there's 2 other divers in the system, and they were scooters. So we went down there, and here comes the mistake. We didn't use a line to connect to that main line in that dead end, because we were really close to the entrance, and it was great visibility. You could almost see all the way to the entrance, and we were just like maybe 5 meters away in that dead end, so you can't go anywhere else than just, yeah, basically straight forward, which is facing the exit if you've turned around. Stupid. Anyway, we went there, turned around, got the camera. I had two 250 watt HID lights on this, so really bright, pretty nicely illuminating the entire space. And the other two divers gave us K-signs. They went into that section, like when you look down left, so we were now facing the exit, so it was on the right side, and then turn around to start swimming. At that moment, these two scooter divers came from the other side. They came basically from the system, following the main line to the exit, but instead of then turning left towards the exit, they saw our lights and turned right into that dead spot. And while they were turning in, they realized this is a dead end. There's these two bright suns basically shining on them, and they kind of stopped, like, oh, and went down, and they hit the mud really hard, which meant there was a silt out within a second or so. I was like, boom, and the visibility turned to zero. I mean, including these two huge video lights, I couldn't read my instruments. There was just nothing. So my partner immediately grabbed my right elbow, so I knew, okay, he's there, that's good. And I was like, that's not good. So my first idea was like, where are these two guys? Did they like go past us? So are they behind us now, maybe freaking out because they're in the silt out as well? They don't know where they are. That's not good. I couldn't figure it out. So through the rebreathers, if you rebreather dive, you know what I mean. You can talk to each other. If you're really close, you can use basically the space, the air space in those hoses to say single words. So if you're a little bit familiar with each other and you did that for a while, you can actually not really talk, but you can kind of communicate. And I could hear Michael like, not good. I was like, yeah, stay calm. We fix it. And I thought like, okay, I mean, we're facing the exit. So if I just do a couple of fin strokes, I'll probably get out of this cloud and I'll be in clear water. And I'm basically, I mean, that's just swim forward. You swim right to the exit. So I did like 3 or 4 fin strokes and got stuck completely. I could feel that there was something under me. I could feel the back of my head was on the ceiling. The camera, it was a really nasty sound. I still have that video. You can hear the camera with the big lens on it just scrapes over something and it's just stuck. And I could feel there's rock on the left side, there's rock on the right side. A little bit behind me, I could still feel Michael's hand on my arm, and I was stuck. I was like, damn. How did that happen? Because it was clear water. It was a big tunnel, 4 by 4 meters. Where the hell am I stuck? There's nothing. That train wagons behind me. It was clear water in front of me. That doesn't make any sense. So I was stuck there. I tried to get my camera somehow out of that. I was like, oh god damn! If I flood this thing, this is gonna be really expensive. Hope I didn't break the lens. And I could hear Michael like, oh, problem. I said, yeah, problem. And while I was standing there, I started to feel dizzy. I was like, damn, what's that? And I realized there's something wrong with my rebreather. So, okay, obviously bailout. So I figured for my bailout, I could reach it somehow. Got my bailout out, switched to my bailout. So obviously Murphy's Law, you're stuck in a cave, zero visibility, the rebreather starts to fuck. All right. So I got on my bailout, so now the exhaust bubbles actually did not make the situation a lot better, because obviously now my exhaust bubbles started to pour down debris from the ceiling, and the visibility, I couldn't get much worse, but it obviously didn't help to make it better. And so after I sorted this, I started to think like, okay, we need to get out of here. Mike's on his rebreather, so that's fine. I am on a full bailout bottle, so probably for the next 40 minutes or so, I'm definitely not going to die because I'm out of gas, but we need to sort this. So the only thing I could imagine was that when these scuba divers came in front of us, that I tried to avoid them, kind of turn away. And the only thing that would make sense is if I made a slight left turn, because if they close in front of me, I kind of turn away from them. So I was like, okay, if I did not start swimming straight, because I turned before, then I obviously turned to my left, so I must have hit the left wall. So I started to feel around a little bit, and I felt there's a metal bar underneath me. And when I started feeling, I was like, okay, that feels like one of these vagons. I was like, okay, that one wagon's behind me. It's not possible that I turned myself 180 degree. That's nonsense. That's not what happened. So there must be another one that I didn't see when I was swimming in there. And I realized, when I was swimming in, I was turning to my left, so I was facing the right wall, my right wall in that tunnel, so I did not look at the left side. And so I started to wiggle myself free, slowly, backwards, and I realized, okay, I can get free, I can get the camera out there. And I thought, okay, if we are on the left side of this tunnel, so to speak, and I manage to do like a 90 degree to the other side, there are these water drainage pipes on the floor. If I manage to get to the other wall and I can feel these pipes, I can follow these pipes, and they'll lead to that cross section where that main line's attached. So as soon as I was over that bar, I actually communicated with Mike. We went down, we hit the floor. I could feel, okay, there's this, wherever it was, drain wagon or whatever. And so I lined myself up, so this was on my left side. I put my right arm out, and then I made a turn, and I kind of finger walked over the floor there. And the process was 12 minutes, because I still have that video. You don't see anything on the video except clouds of black stuff, but you can hear us breathe, you can hear us kind of talk. And so I finger walk over this. Michael's always on my arm, and at some point I hit the wall and I can feel this pipe, and I'm like, It's really funny. We still talk about this today, because Mike was like, when I heard that sound, I knew it's good. So I got this water pipe, we started swimming to the water pipe, I found the line, we went out. I was like, I think it was a 3-4 minute swim to actually get to the exit. So no drama at all, but the visibility was 0 all the way to the exit. So they really messed up the place. So, looking back at it, with all the experience and all the dives before and all the drama that you drama that you have over your years, at no point there was like, oh God, I'm gonna die or something like that. So it was always calm and smooth, but it was a very interesting experience. And obviously the mistake here is very simple. We didn't take a continuous line to the surface, so we should have laid these 4 or 5 meters of line into that dead end. And probably a bit of arrogance and stupidity, like, we did this 1,000 times, you can see the line, so it's no big deal. And something completely not in the back of our minds, that there's other people in there and they're using scooters, which was not allowed at that point. And yeah, so Murphy's always with us, and that's a great example for it. So number three is it's really funny, and it's a wreck in Italy that I dove a lot. It's a very simple wreck. It sits in 12-13 meters of water, but it's very scenic. So when I'm on family vacation, I normally go there once or twice and just hang around there, enjoy the view and relax. And I actually dove that recently with my kids, so super simple. And today I normally dive it from the boat, but back in the day we went there by car and then dove it from shore. And to make you understand how the outline is, you're on the shore, and in front of you is a small island. It's more like a pile of rocks. And actually that's what caused the ship to sink. The ship actually had some error in navigation and hit this pile of rocks and then sank there. So the wreck actually sits like outside of this rock on the left side, so to speak, when you look out to that rock, this island. So the way to go there, and when you swim that's at 10 minutes from shore. And the way to go is you take a compass bearing, and you take a compass bearing on the left corner of this island, so to speak. So, and then you just go down and there's just seaweed. So you immediately hit like 4 or 5 meters, and then it really gently slopes down to about 8-9 meters. And when you basically pass that island, then it drops down to 12-13 meters, and then you actually see the wreck. And so there's no points of navigation on the swim. You're over the seaweed, and yeah, there's nothing there except this grass. And if you have a bit of search, the grass is actually nicely moving back and forth. A lot of people hate that. And so you need that compass bearing. So me, arrogant and knowing it better, I was like, compass bearing, that's where it goes. And I started swimming, and it didn't work. So I swam there, 6-8 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I was like, I have to be right. I mean, I did that so often. Still the same seagrass. And then the seagrass stopped, and it was white sand. I was like, So to cut the long story short, I think I swam around for like 35 minutes, obviously realizing that something went wrong. But I mean, obviously, I cannot go back to the surface and look where I am. I mean, how embarrassing would that be? Yeah, I was just swimming around there. Couldn't find the wreck, had no fucking idea where I was. And at some point I just had to, figure out where I am. So I made an ascent, and I could barely see the shore. I was really in the middle of nowhere. I completely messed it up. And so I took a compass bearing back to the beach, and then I realized there's actually quite a bit of current that's actually going sideways. So I took my compass bearing, I tried to compensate for that current, and I started swimming back, which took me 40 minutes and almost all of my gas. And even that didn't work out really well. So actually I got blown on the other side of that island, on a very rocky part of the shore. So I then had to basically swim back on the shore to the place where I could exit. So it was one embarrassing experience. My wife's still laughing today about this. The only funny part was, the good part was, when I was swimming back actually in the sea, but I found a big plastic bag, and it was full of stainless steel boat hardware, all with the price tags. Looked like it fell in there minutes ago. So obviously somebody lost that from his boat, and I collected that, and as an avid boater I had good use for that. And so yeah, I probably wouldn't have found that otherwise, but it was not exactly what I planned for. So again, no matter how often you dive a place, or how good you are, or how well experienced you are, you should stick to the basic rules. And the basic rule in this dive is take a compass bearing and follow it, and don't be stupid and arrogant and just swim off into the blue. Alright, hope you enjoyed this little excursion through my failures. And if you have something interesting that happened to you, I would love to read it in the comment section. The first couple of I'm super happy to answer. If you want to discuss things more in detail, or have a story to share, please check out my Patreon site. It's a really nice community where we discuss things a little bit more private and more in detail. And if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. And if you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get a notification when I upload new content, which is normally once a week. Other than that, stay safe. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.